Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Navs Effect. I'm your host, Naveen Anglani, and I don't think I've ever done this, have the same guest that I had very recently, but Nico was so good last time we had him on board that I had to have him on again. Nico, thanks for joining me again, bro. So sorry we kept delaying this.
Oh, that's
So just
fine.
just some background about how we were planning this podcast. Now, first it was Friday, then we said okay, we'll do Thursday, and then we said okay, go back to Friday. Then it was supposed to be 10 a.m. Then naging 10:30, then naging 11. But that just goes to show how out of nowhere things happen in media. But yeah, how are you, Nico? Thanks for joining me this morning, man. I guess you just finished your workout a little bit ago.
I just finished my workout. And then like regarding the backstory on the moving of this podcast, Nav had to release something. You had to release news. I'm not sure kung ni-release niya na in the public, but we have a group chat where he released an update, but I'm not sure if you released it on Facebook. Did you release it on Facebook already? No, not yet.
Yep, everywhere. Facebook, Instagram,
Ah, yeah,
Twitter.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I can mention it here because I have it on the record. The Santi Romero of LaSalle Green Hills, and who
That's the
was part
one.
of the Gilas youth roster last year, confirmed his commitment to me to the De La Salle Green Archers. He'll probably start playing season 87 along with the other guards LaSalle recruited like Matthew Rubico and Ethan Alyan. And also just an update on some recent news. Now, there's a rumor going around na Kobe de Mesana verbally committed to Ateneo is the report that's out there, right? And there are rumors going around that UP is blocking his transfer and that maybe CSB is trying to find a way to get him. Now, I talked to Kobe's representation who's helping him out with this process and sabi nila that's false. UPIS or the UPMBT, neither of them are trying to block this hypothetical kasi nothing's official at least by the time we're recording. This is hypothetical move. They're not trying to block it, and I talked to some sources in CSB, including Coach Charles too, who said that they have not contacted Kobe, not trying to recruit him to CSB at least at the moment. So I thought that would be just good to get that out of the way. But this is a podcast to preview the NBA playoffs because it is Friday, April 14th as we're recording this Manila time, which means at 1 a.m. Sunday morning, a little over 36 hours from now, about 38 hours from now, the NBA playoffs are going to begin. And Nico and I are going to talk about that because, of course, we also like the NBA still. I mean, we love the local happenings, we love the local news, but like my shirt says, bro, we love the NBA as well. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to kind of go at each possible playoff series, starting from our least favorite to our most anticipated. Okay, so that's the
Oh,
way we go.
okay.
So
Okay, okay.
we're going to take turns. Okay, it's kind of like going to be a draft. So I'll start and then you go. Now take note, we're recording this. We still don't know who the Milwaukee Bucks and Denver Nuggets are playing in the first round because the
Yeah.
play in between the Heat and Bulls is still going to take place 24 hours from now, and also same for the Pelicans. No, not Pelicans. The Thunder versus the Timberwolves. Now, OKC versus Minnesota's winner will take on Denver, and Chicago versus Miami's winner will take on Milwaukee. So when we talk about that 1-8 series, Nico, when we're going to discuss it, we kind of just do it in the perspective of who they can potentially face. So we're going to talk about Milwaukee in the prism of facing either Chicago or Miami, and then same for Denver facing Minnesota or OKC. So there are different matchup potential possibilities there. Okay, let's start. Let's get into it right away. So we're not saying that maybe the first ones we'll mention are playoff series we don't want to watch because it's the NBA, it's the playoffs. We always love
Yeah.
good quality basketball, especially when the stars come out. They shine brightest in this moment. Well, at least some do. um, but okay, so I'm gonna start first. So if I had to go the series I am probably least excited to watch, I would probably pick Philadelphia versus Brooklyn. And
Okay, okay.
coincidentally, that happens to be the 1 a.m. game, Saturday night, Sunday morning. And now, usually, some friends and I, we get together to watch this 1 a.m. game, sometimes with 3:30 a.m. game as well, if gising pa kami. But it's usually the 1 a.m. game. And normally, it's really fun. Like this season, I guess they went with Philadelphia, Brooklyn to get that kind of out of the way first. But there's still some, I would say, interesting subplots to this series. So, for instance, of course, Brooklyn, they're not as good as they were when they had Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, but they've still had some surprisingly impressive moments, particularly Mikhail Bridges, who I think is becoming a star in Brooklyn. You know, when you look at that trade now, right? So, Brooklyn gets Cam Johnson, Mikhail Bridges, Jay Crowder, who they waive, bucket of draft picks. Brooklyn didn't come out really like a loser in that trade. They got like a legit guy who's now averaging 26, 27 a night in Bridges since coming to Brooklyn. Cam Johnson, who is a great shooter, has height, can play the wing. They also got, of course, Dorian Finney-Smith from Dallas for the Kyrie Irving trade. So they have a lot of wings. They have a lot of depth. Bridges is like a pseudo star at this point now. I still think this should be an easy series for Philly to win though in 4 or 5. Now Embiid is my pick for MVP this season. He has been incredible. He has been the most consistent, I would say, from all the choices. And that was a very tight race, a 3-man race between Embiid, Jokic, Giannis. But I think Embiid finally he deserves it this season. I think Harden you're seeing like the new version of Harden here in Philly, who is more pass first. He's not the scoring virtuoso Harden he was in the past, but he's still very good and he can still drop like 30 something points once in a while when he wants to. I think Maxi has been solid as well. I like the PJ Tucker acquisition for them. Now, PJ Tucker might not be scoring a lot, but I just asked Miami. Miami misses that guy right now. That physical presence, that the guy who, despite being undersized, can rebound and can defend and be like a brick wall just because of how thick he is. And then, of course, Tobias Harris. Well, he ain't Jimmy Butler, but Tobias Harris ain't no scrub. I think Philly should win in about 5 games, gentleman sweep style, if not even 4 games. I would like to see Philly win this series in 4 games, kind of just like put the exclamation point right away and be like, yeah, this is our season. We think we can win the championship and we're going to destroy this team that we know we're better than, rather than, what Philly has been doing or Philly has been known to do, which is let other teams hang around in the playoffs. Kind of like what they did with Toronto last year, right? They went up 3-0 in that first round series against Toronto, then let Toronto win games 4 and 5, and then finally closed them out in 6. But then you can also see that really hurt them because Embiid got hurt in one of the games and then had to miss the first 2 games against Miami in the semifinals. And when he came back, they were able to tie the series, but the Heat won the next 2. And by then, you really saw the difference it made, his absence. What do you think about this series, Nico?
Talking about the Sixers and Nets series, I feel like you mentioned it already that the Sixers are notorious for letting their opponents hang around, which is I don't want to say this, which is not the quality of a championship team. But if that's their identity, then that's their identity. And they're also being coached by Doc Rivers. Not exactly a big fan of his adjustments when it comes to games, but up against the Nets, that's a really good barometer for them to get them into playoff mode as they go deeper into the playoffs, because I feel like they could reach the Eastern Conference Finals, but that's it. And I think recently there was an interview by Doc Rivers that this Philadelphia team reminds him of the '08 Celtics, which is a big claim, which is confidence that that this team can reach the finals and actually win the whole thing. It's possible. I won't be shocked if they win the whole thing. They have the pieces. It's just more of the coaching that's their Achilles heel. And talking about Brooklyn, Mikal Bridges has evolved into a incredible star in the short games that he has played with Brooklyn. I hope it continues up to next year. And just like what you said, 26, 27 points a game. He's the two-way player that they didn't think that he would be. I mean, he's a two-way player already, but the points production, the offensive production that he brings to Brooklyn was a surprise, definitely. And the culture that they have there in Brooklyn is great, but I don't think this won't be their year. And nobody expects them to go out of the first round. I feel like this is Philly in 5, because Embiid's on a mission. He wants to prove like I'm the MVP. And I mean, there's no bearing in the playoffs because this is a regular season MVP, but it's just more of Embiid just stamping his claim as like the proving to the voters that they voted right when it comes to him being the MVP. And of Harden already having a year of chemistry with the Sixers, he has fully embraced his role. And I'm a big fan of Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey knows where he fits. And this is a team that's dangerous. It's actually a dark horse team. That's why I said, Nav, that I won't be surprised if they make the finals. Because they're built. It's just the coach being the Achilles heel.
So
There you go.
interesting. No, if we had to argue for a pathway for Brooklyn to win the series, now it looks medyo malabo because of course it's a Philadelphia arguably has the 2 best players in the series. Now, I don't know what you think about Bridges at this point, if he's better than Harden, but I would say Embiid 1,
Ooh.
Harden 2, Bridges 3. I think Bridges will eventually take Harden though, maybe in the next 1-2 years, especially because of Bridges' defensive capabilities. Now, if there was a pathway for Brooklyn to win, I would say one, Nick Claxton would have to have the best defensive series of his life and stay out of foul trouble, which we know is very hard when you're going up against Embiid, and also hard in driving to the rim. But I think transition, fast break opportunities, that's where you can see the weakness of Philadelphia. Now, I'm looking at some stats right now just to give some context. So, most allowed transition points in the NBA this season. Number one, Houston Rockets. Number two, Utah Jazz. Number three, San Antonio Spurs. Number four, Los Angeles Lakers. Number five, Washington Wizards. Six, Indiana Pacers. Seven, Portland. Eight, Minnesota. Nine, Philadelphia. 10, Toronto. Now, tell me something, Nico. From those 10 teams I mentioned, what makes Philadelphia stand out?
Well, Philadelphia's offense is incredible.
No,
And
no, no. I sorry, sorry. I meant like just from the allowed transition points I mentioned, from those 10
ooh,
teams, what makes Philadelphia different from the rest of those teams? You wanna know what it is? Think about it. Houston, Utah, San Antonio, Los Angeles, Washington, Indiana, Portland, Minnesota, Philadelphia, Toronto, top 10. Out of those 10 teams, only one team is in the playoffs. Or
yeah,
rather,
exactly. That's the one.
was in the playoffs before the play-in, because the Lakers are there and Minnesota is there and Toronto is there, but these are play-in teams. Philadelphia is number 3 in their conference. So they're a high-ranking team in their conference, but they have a weakness, which is their transition. And when you think about Brooklyn, the question is, can the Brooklyn Nets get stops? Can they keep Philadelphia off the free throw line? And can they get running on the break? Because you have these wings and Johnson and Bridges and Seth Curry can drop a few bombs. Joe Harris, of course, it depends who's hot for the night. But if they can get out on the break, score easy opportunities, Philadelphia's an old team. They don't always like getting back and fast break. That might be the pathway for Brooklyn to win. However, I still do think this should be an easy win for Philadelphia.
Yeah, they already have the players, and these are not young players. I mean, aside from Tyrese Maxey, they have veterans, superstar veterans who know what it takes to win in this type of games. And grabe yung ano na yun, yung stat na yun. I didn't think about that. I didn't realize that they're the only one who's like well cemented sa seeding, and then the rest are just fringe playoff teams or out of the playoff picture. It just speaks volumes
Exactly.
of how maybe that's how they choose to play. Because I remember last year or 2 years ago that Toronto gives up the most corner 3-pointers. I mean, I'm not sure if it's they give up the most corner threes or they give up the most 3-pointers, but I think it's how they designed their defense to be. So I feel like this is how Philly chooses to do their schemes. So it's
Exactly.
interesting. It's interesting.
Exactly. You know what? Even if that might not be my favorite series, I will probably still be watching it at 1 a.m. on Saturday. So bring out the coffee. Okay, Nico, you pick the next series, number 7 out of 8. And by the way,
Okay.
the potential 1-8 series are in the mix also.
Yeah, for me it's kind of hard. Actually, not hard. It's only I'm choosing between two. Man, the Denver actually it's very easy. Let's not kid ourselves. It's between the Denver against the Thunder or the T Wolves.
Right,
Cause
right.
I mean, Nav, I mean you would choose that as well. I mean, this is an easy layup for me choosing the series. I think the only thing interesting here is that the Denver Nuggets are not built to go far in the playoffs. It's how I've been seeing it in the past seasons. No, actually, this is the first time they've been the number one seed. But since yung mga past series that I've been watching, parang I've never been convinced of the Denver Nuggets. Last year, they didn't have Jamal Murray because of the ACL injury. I don't know, man. I need to see MPJ take another step to the development. I'm not saying that he sucks right now. He's actually good. But the X factor is definitely MPJ. If he plays like a maybe 25-5 guy, inconsistent throughout these playoffs, then they could reach the Western Conference Finals. But it's a boring series for me. Like I feel like this is one of the first two games that they always play every day. It could be the 1 a.m. game or a 3 p.m. game. So that's that. I mean, the Thunder, I want the Denver Nuggets to face the Thunder mainly because SGA is a quiet superstar. When I
Right.
mean quiet is because his game isn't too flashy. But when you think about SGA, if you watch his game, that's the side steps, the spin moves, just no flash in his game. It's just very textbook. Same with Josh Giddey. Actually, there are a lot of TikTok clips on Josh Giddey that this is a joke, right? By the way, like on TikTok, it's people praising Giddy. How can you let a high school musical member beat you?
Oh my god.
Like how can you let Zac Efron
He looks like Timothy. I can never pronounce his last name. The actor.
Chalamet?
Yes. Timothy Chalamet. I think that's
Yeah.
a joke going around. But
There.
I
Yeah.
see your point because that play-in game against New Orleans, SJ had a really nice shot where he drives in late in the game. They're down one, gets the contact, doesn't get the foul, and kind of steps back, smooth, and it hits
It's
nothing
all
but net.
textbook. It's all
And he
textbook.
makes it look incredibly easy, as if it's a snap of a finger where it can be done, but then it's so hard when you actually try it in real life. I think if you're Denver though, you'd rather face OKC than Minnesota, right? Because Minnesota now, of course, there's that drama
Anthony
going on with
Edwards.
Rudy
Yeah.
Gobert.
Mm.
But let's say that Gobert comes back. He's listed as questionable because of an injury. Same for Karl Anthony Towns. But let's say throughout a 7 game series, do you want to deal with a Minnesota team with two legit 7-footers in Towns and Gobert who can you can kind of throw at Jokic? I kind of wish Minnesota had Naz Reid because Naz Reid was playing so well. And when you're OKC, you're kind of a strange team. You're small. You don't have a legit center. You're playing Jalen Williams at center. Did you know that Thunder lead the NBA in charges drawn? So what they
Lou Dort
don't
is the face of the. I think it's Lou Dort. Is he the one leading the?
Ironically, Jalen Williams, the new guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
J Dub, J Dub.
he's leading the NBA in charges drawn. So they kind of make up for their lack of size with effort and with spacing on offense and taking charges instead of rim protection. But if you face Nikola Jokic
It's
in a
a
seven
Heat
game
fan talking right there.
if not such a good rookie season for Jovic. So you don't want to kind of deal with Nikola Jokic for a 7 game series if you don't have a legit big man. Aaron Gordon's a guy with size too. So if you're Denver, you might rather face as scary as the prospect of dealing with SGA is. And by the way, Giddy and Jalen Williams, J Dub, they're legit players too. Jalen Williams is number 2 in my rookie of the year ballot behind Paolo Banchero. I think if you're Denver, you'd still rather face OKC because of the size advantage you would have rather than dealing with Gobert and Towns throughout the 7 game series. I think Denver would beat both teams. I just think that they would probably have a little bit more of a difficult time against the T-Wolves, especially if Anthony Edwards recovers from that shoulder injury and starts becoming Anthony Edwards again.
Yeah, it's actually harder for Denver to face a team like Minnesota because Minnesota will find ways to bring Jokic out of the paint. Because Karl Anthony Towns is actually one of the best 3-point shooters out there, for not just as a big man, one of the best 3-point shooters out there in the NBA. So they'll have more schemes to throw at Denver compared to OKC, who's limited with the people they have on the roster. They're the more exciting team. Definitely, they're the ones I want to see advance. But I feel like this is Minnesota and Denver. That's just my prediction with how I see it. And knowing that Gobert will be back, Anthony Edwards will for sure bounce back from that 4 and 17 shooting.
Oh, that was
it 4?
horrible.
That was horrible.
That game against the Lakers, he kept settling for jumpers. And in my mind, I was like, okay, I know you're injured, but you kind of need to drive in here because the times when he was attacking the rim, it felt like no one could stop him. Like there was this transition play where he stole the ball and he was against LeBron in the break. And LeBron, back in the day, LeBron would have probably tried to block that from behind. But then LeBron just kind of was like, nope, sorry. I ain't got no legs no more to chase this young gun. But yeah, okay. So next series, number 6. Let's see. So we've chosen Philly, Brooklyn, and we've chosen Denver versus either Minnesota, Oklahoma City. That means my next pick would likely be exciting kasi sa West yung mga series. Yung 2-7 exciting, yung 3-6 exciting, yung 4-5 can be very exciting. So maybe we save that for later. Let's go East. Boston, Atlanta.
The UAAP is back for its second semester sports. Make sure to check out Get Blued for all your staple Team Ateneo gear, and of course for your men's basketball championship shirt in case you haven't gotten it yet. Visit Get Blued on social media and their stores at Shopee Mall and Laz Mall. And remember, always buy original.
Listen, I'm gonna keep this short. And I might look like a fool for saying this, but I think Boston's gonna have an easy time against Atlanta. And by easy time, I mean 4 or 5 games. And how easy I think it's going to be for Boston to win this series is going to further emphasize how pathetic the Miami Heat have been. throughout the season because of how Miami just crapped the bed against Atlanta in that play-in game.
I
But
didn't
this is
expect
a
that because I
neither.
always thought that they always have Atlanta's number, right?
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
was like,
But
easy win for.
always, see, that's the thing. The moment everyone thought it was an easy win for Miami, I had the feeling that it would be a loss. So much so that when I saw the line Atlanta plus 5.5, I was like, oh, this is easy money for whoever would bet this.
Yeah.
And that happened to be the case. Now, but matchup wise, Boston has the size that will be able to counter Atlanta's rebounding advantage that they displayed against Miami. You know, Clint Capella, Onyeka Okongwu, Sadiq Bey, all these guys were dominating the boards against the Heat. You can't do that against Boston when you've got Al Horford and you've got good rebounding wings in Tatum and Brown, and also you've got Robert Williams. And Boston's deeper. Boston's offense is, incredible. They have shooting. They have two legit wings. I'm not sure Atlanta has the wing players to really stop Brown and Tatum from penetration. And defense, I think Boston's going to have the answers for Atlanta. This is a 4 or 5 game series for me.
I feel like for me it's a 5-game series. It's just that they just have the DeJounte Murray and that's it. Because I'm a big fan of DeJounte Murray on the court, off the court, not so much. But I just love how he's a two-way guy. I've been watching him since the Spurs. I also collect some DeJounte Murray cards on the side because I just like him as a player. But it's an easy win for Boston. I don't think there's gonna be much discussion here. The only thing that this series will go up to 7 games is if Tatum gets injured. Knock on wood. But that's the only
Knock on
thing
wood.
that,
We don't want to
yeah,
see
knock on
that.
wood.
Yeah.
I want to see
Okay.
him
Yeah.
go far.
So let's move on from that. I'll give you the next pick. What's your next pick now?
For me, it's we're staying with the East. It's like we're picking on the East. Next is the Cavs and the Knicks.
Ooh.
This is a close game. I won't be shocked as well if this goes to 7 because me, not sure if you, Nav, that I kind of underplayed how at the start of the season how Jalen Brunson's effect would impact the Knicks because I thought that initially that there will be an issue with who will score, who will hold the ball more, but because you know how Randall loves to dominate the ball, right? His usage rate is kind of high, but
Yes.
Jalen Brunson just made the Knicks more respectable, made them more formidable, and we can talk about the drama that was it Mark Cuban who said that the parents got involved with Jalen Brunson. But I heard,
Can I give you a hot take? Sorry, out of pocket here.
yeah,
I think
go ahead,
Mark
go ahead.
Cuban is starting to lose his touch as a good NBA owner.
Yeah. Oh
I
my gosh,
mean,
yes. I think
I
that's
mean,
yeah.
all the recent like off-court issues with the Mavericks, like the work culture there that's come out, the fact that I mean, if they're gonna fire Jason Kidd, they're gonna end up like firing another coach in like the last 3 years. The fact that Luca doesn't look so happy when he's there, and they can never get Luca to be in. I don't want to say Luca is out of shape because he's still dominating, but it seems like it could do Lucas. I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing here, okay? From an outsider's perspective, maybe if Luca like drops a few pounds, okay, you know what? He's still great. So I don't want to pursue it this
Like
way.
his rookie.
But
We're nitpicking on Luca, but that's
yeah,
how great he is. That's
I
how
just
great
want
he is.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to see Luca come in like incredible lean shape to see maybe how that could even improve his athleticism a little more. But then he's still awesome. But just everything with the Mavericks, it feels like bad vibes. Trading for Kyrie, I know it was a risk, but it was a risk that didn't pay off. They started losing games and they dropped in the standings when they got Kyrie. But anyway, just out of away from the main topic, hot take there. Let's go back. So you
Oh,
mentioned
yeah,
the
yeah.
Cavs and the
The Cavs
Knicks,
and the
right?
Knicks.
Jalen Brunson, I think, has been the best Knick this season, and you could
I
see
didn't expect that.
like
I feel like he
even
will clash
last
with Randall.
yeah, even last season when Luca missed those first 2 games against Utah in the Dallas Utah playoff series, Brunson was amazing. Like he was outplaying Donovan Mitchell at the end of the game. And what's interesting, by the way, Julius Randle latest report, he's still not cleared for contact, so it
Oh
looks like
wow.
he might miss
I
game
didn't know.
1, maybe game 2 as well, which would be in Cleveland because Cleveland has home court advantage. Who knows? Maybe the series goes back to New York. He suits us up for that one. But I love the subplot here of Mitchell versus Brunson, and also because New York was like the rumored spot for Mitchell when it looked like he would be traded out of Utah. He instead
Aren't
goes to
most players
Cleveland.
though? Aren't most players rumored to go
Yeah.
to New York?
The Mitchell one was pretty strong, I
Oh
think,
yeah, that one, that
compared
one.
to the last few ones. But I'm really curious, it's Mitchell versus Brunson again. These players, I'm sure they remember series and battles in the past. I want to see if Mitchell comes out and kind of like lays a smackdown, because I think he's been sensational this year in his first year with Cleveland. He has really given that Cavs team some oomph to them, some like added, an identity almost. Mobley has been playing well as of late. Jarrett Allen is great. But I'm very curious to see how the Knicks approach this. If Randall can play right away, will they go small? Will they play Josh Hart at the 4? Will they add more shooting? Kind of spread the floor out, go small versus a big Cleveland team? And where does Darius Garland fit into this? Like, is he going to take a back seat and let Mitchell kind of take the wheel while he plays more of the traditional point guard, get everyone involved? Or will Garland, who by the way was there before Mitchell, kind of be like, hey, I can also run this team. This isn't like a Donovan Mitchell is Batman and Evan Mobley is Superman, and I'm kind of like the Robin here. Like, I can also like have my say in this. We're the Justice League. Sorry for the pop culture reference, but I'm very interested to see the series. I just kind of wish Randall was healthy the whole way, to make this more interesting. I hope he comes back sooner than later.
Now that you told me about Randall not being clear for contact, I feel like this could be a Cavs sweep. Because without Randall, it's kind of hard to negate a Evan Mobley, who's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, a strong contender for Depoy, and a Jarrett Allen. That's a formidable front court already. Mitchell Robinson's always had problems with his foul troubles. So I feel like it's going to be easy for the Cavs without a Julius Randle to at least spice things up. And what you said with Darius Garland, he is a really capable floor general. I feel like he doesn't mind taking the backseat when it comes to scoring. He's the kind of point guard, because I had him on my fantasy roster, so I would of course monitor like how he performs. And I won't be shocked if he averages like 12 assists per game here and let Donovan Mitchell cook, while he himself just gets like maybe 16 and 12, 16 and 13. I won't be shocked if he puts up those kind of numbers and just feed his teammates.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of excitement in this series. Now, let's move on to the next one. I honestly would have picked this before the Cleveland New York series. I'm going to go with the Milwaukee versus the winner of the Miami Chicago series. Now, it's going to be a rematch for Milwaukee no matter who they face. If they face the Heat, it will be the third time since 2020 that the Heat and Bucks have faced in a playoff series in the Eastern Conference. Of course, 2020 in the bubble, the Heat beat the Bucks in the semifinals. The Bucks got their revenge a year later when they swept Miami in the first round. And last season, Milwaukee beat Chicago in 5. So I think this is going to be an easy series win for Milwaukee, no matter who they end up facing. Just searching something real quick here, because I know Chris Middleton was going through some rehab at the end of the season. So here, report from ESPN, Chris Middleton practices fully as Bucks gear up for the playoffs. So Middleton should be ready for the playoff series no matter who they face. Now, I think matchup-wise, Miami's a little better for Milwaukee than Chicago, just because I think Miami is more of those, well, who knows? Like, Miami's three-point shooting has been so off. But when you think about the shooters Miami has that can play against the drop defense that Milwaukee uses, you got Hero, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, these guys. And Miami would kind of go in there with, a big man in Bam who won't stop Giannis, but would maybe challenge him a little bit. With Chicago, of course, we saw that the Bulls won one game in Milwaukee last season, but the rest of the way, Milwaukee kind of dominated them. Now, Milwaukee and Miami and Chicago are going to play in a play-in game to determine who gets at 8 seed. Like we mentioned, Chicago swept the season series against Miami, winning with an average of 10.7 points a game. So that's something to take note of. By the time this podcast comes out, the play-in game is probably done. Either way, I think Milwaukee should win, like I mentioned. If I had to pick which from Miami or Chicago could push Milwaukee to like 6 games, I would probably say Miami, just because they'll probably go into that series thinking, oh, we've beaten Milwaukee before, we've given them headaches, let's give them another headache. But the Bucks are sensational. They're number 1 in the East. They have one of the best records in the NBA, despite the fact that Middleton missed a bunch of games, that Giannis missed quite a few games, that Holiday didn't start off. Actually, Holiday was awesome throughout the regular season, but there were games he wasn't playing so well. Brook Lopez has been sensational this whole season. He won me my fantasy league, even if I drafted him in like the 8th round or the 9th round or something like that. But definitely the Bucks, I think, from all teams coming into the playoffs, if I had to pick one team where the confidence level was just really high and should be high, justifiably, I would pick Milwaukee. That's a good team. They have arguably the best player in the NBA when healthy in Giannis. And, if things break right for them, if they stay healthy, I think they win the NBA championship.
As much as it pains me to hear that, I have to be objective and feel like the Bucks can win the championship over the Warriors. So if that happens, I would understand because the Bucks are a well-built team, especially let's not forget Man Mountain, Brook Lopez, who has evolved this game throughout the
Splash
years.
Mountain, right?
Oh, Man Mountain,
Mountain.
Splash Mountain. He's both because that's a big dude. That's why I call him sometimes Man Mountain, Splash Mountain, because he averages like, did he average like 4 blocks a game this year or 3? I think 2.83. Yeah, something like that.
It felt
But
like 10, to be honest with you.
yeah, he would have games like 7 blocks, 6 blocks, and it's not too much noise because his blocks are just like standing up, just like swiping his hand. That's a block. His anticipation on defense is incredible, and that's a really a team that I don't want the Warriors to face. I hope the Bucks get upset by a team in the Eastern Conference because they're dangerous.
For sure, man. For sure. And, they're just so good. They're a small market team, but they have a superstar who wants to be there, a very likable superstar. Giannis has kind of been more outspoken, but he's trash talk this season compared to the last few seasons. But you know what? He's Giannis. He's the best player in the NBA right now. I think this is his league that he can grab by the hand by winning another championship. If he does win that second ring, then we kind of, I think, start talking about him differently, right? Because you win that first ring, it's like, okay, I got through. Finally, I'm a champion, and that's something I
Yeah.
will always have. People can't anymore say, "Oh, hey, Giannis, that guy was great, but he never won a ring." You're out of like the Charles Barkley, Steve Nash, Karl Malone phase, right? Then you start entering that a very short list of superstars who've won championships, right? But when you win that second ring, then you start entering that Hakeem Olajuwon conversation, that Dwayne Wade conversation. Wade won 3, but that 2 would get Giannis close, right? Then you have LeBron at 4, Kobe at 5, MJ at 6, Duncan at 5, KG is at 1, Dirk is at 1. So that's kind of where Giannis is right now, like the franchise player who won with his team. Winning a second one would elevate him past those guys. And we're talking about like NBA legacies here, the NBA pyramid of great players, greatest of
Yeah.
all time. And it would be just from a fan perspective, an NBA fan perspective, if Giannis does win that second ring, like I said, the conversation starts and it gets interesting from there, because then you start thinking, okay, what else can this guy accomplish? Like, does he win a third MVP next year and then a third ring next season? And then do we start putting him in that Kobe LeBron conversation? And if he wins like the third ring, okay, so what's the limit? Because I'm gonna search his age right now. I know he's not that
26, 27?
Giannis is 28
Giannis.
years old. So
Oh, he's in
you
his
can make
prime.
assuming good health, you can make the case that he has 6-7 more like prime years left. And if he wins a second ring at 28, then you start thinking, wait, can he get to 5? Can he get to 6? Right? Because now the way he plays, injury is always a concern, and the fact that he hasn't really improved his shooting is a concern as he ages. But then with that size and that ability, and with the way the game is played now, where it's so easy to get fouls and get to the free throw line in the NBA, you start thinking, oh, the sky's the limit. But of course, he has to win that second ring first. Now, it would be interesting if, think about the path, right? Let's say Giannis and the Bucks beat the Heat or the Bulls the first round, doesn't really matter. And then the second round that they take on the Knicks, the Cavs, So those first 2 rounds, when you think about it, the Bucks should have like not easy, but an advantage over those opponents, right? So they get like the easier side of the bracket compared to the other side of the Eastern Conference bracket, where you have Boston going up against Atlanta. Boston should win that. Then Philly, Brooklyn. Philly should win that. And Boston and Philly go head to head. And those teams will probably go, 6-7 games, maybe. And then the Bucks would be waiting on the other side. And then they go to the finals. So the road is there for the Bucks. And this has played out, I think, like perfectly for them.
Yeah, and looking at their playoff route, so if they beat the Heat or the Bulls, next up is the matchup between Cavs and Knicks, and then could be Embiid or the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, I mean, the path is easier compared to the Western Conference. That's how I'll just say it, because I might offend some people here.
But again, we have to talk about health, because like last year they lost
Health is
Middleton
always,
in the
yeah.
first round, and if they had Middleton in that Celtics series, who knows, they would have they might have won that series, right? Because they went to 7 without Chris. But anyway, so that series is out of the way. Now we have, how many series do we have left to talk about? 3, right? The
Yeah.
3 remaining Western Conference series. Okay, so
Yeah,
you take the next
we
pick.
breezed through the East one. we decimated the East. Next one for me.
Hello everyone, we're taking a quick break to talk to you about our new sponsor. The most immersive sports betting platform is now online through DexWin. The platform, which is curated for basketball betting, just had a successful beta phase which saw sports bettors from all over the world place more than 5,000 bets and parlays, and they're now open to the public. DexWin offers immersive betting markets on your favorite teams and players with the best odds on NBA, PBA, EuroLeague, and other leagues. Users can sign up via their email, social media accounts, or cryptocurrency wallets and get free bets worth up to 550 pesos. Players can securely withdraw and deposit funds via popular applications like Gcash, Binance, Coins.ph, and others. Betting agents and sports bettors can earn passive income through referrals and earn as each referred player bets on the platform. DexWin has exclusive NBA playoff bets designed for basketball sports bettors which are not available in other betting platforms. What are you waiting for? Sign up now and remember, bet responsibly.
Of course, Suns Clippers. I think the Suns are still undefeated with KD. And there's no Paul George. So I feel like this would be a could be a Suns in 6 because as much as a lot of times that Kawhi gets injured, he's still a beast. You could see it in the last 2 regular season games. And actually, majority of the season that he played with 30 plus minutes, he's posting superstar numbers. It's just very Kawhi-like, wherein you won't hear it much from social media. But if you check his stats, if you go check against your opponent on fantasy, you would see like, oh, why did I lose? Oh, it's Kawhi posting 37 and 7 and 2 steals and 2 blocks. So he's gonna make it competitive definitely, but this is a Suns team that's incredible and undefeated with Kevin Durant. I love Kevin Durant, and the way he changes the series can't be ignored.
Yeah, exactly. I think Kawhi can steal one of the first 3 games, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
If you're the Clippers right now, that's all you're probably thinking of because Phoenix has home court advantage anyway, correct? So if Phoenix has home court advantage, let's say they go up 2-0. You have to win game 3. If you can win like game 3 at home without Paul George, or even steal one of the first 2 games in Phoenix, let's say Kawhi has this like masterpiece of game, goes off for like 45 points, finds a way to prevent Durant from scoring clutch buckets late in the game. And then Paul George, let's say he finds a way to come back. Maybe not 100%, but he's there. He can
At least
contribute
he's
maybe
there.
15, 16 points, spread the floor a little bit, maybe play some defense. That's the road, right, for the Clippers if you think about it. But I know Phoenix is good, man. Now Phoenix is mid-range heavy. Paul, Booker, Durant, Ayton, all these guys take a bunch of mid-range shots. But these are the shots you kind of need sometimes in playoff series, right? The guys who can go 1-on-1, pull up from 15, 16 feet, give you a bucket when you need it. Now, I have some concerns about Chris Paul. He hasn't been playing great this season. He's been inconsistent. There were moments where his shot kind of looked better compared to where it was when the season started. I just love this matchup, though. I really, really, really wish Paul George was healthy because
That would be a classic. That's a classic.
think
If Paul
about
George was
all
there.
the guys you have in this series. Alfred Payton.
Alfred Payne.
It's even
Cameron Payne. Cameron Payne.
No, but so you got Ayton, you got Paul, Booker, KD, Westbrook, Kawhi, Paul George if he was healthy, just the star power, like people we grew up watching, right? Except maybe for Ayton. But I'm also curious where Russ fits into this because I don't know if he's going to be hurting the Clippers or helping them, but Russ is going to
Wait, that's an
be
X
there.
factor.
Yeah, exactly.
Forgot about Westbrook there.
Exactly. I think Phoenix just has a lot of firepower. Now, Phoenix is also one injury away from screwing themselves up. One like bad knock on wood, of course, one slip, one hamstring pull, whatnot, and that they really don't have a lot of depth. That's where the concern is. Maybe not right away for this series, but for like a 2-month playoff run. Yeah, I just think if you're the Clippers, you're thinking, let's steal one of the first 3 games. Hope Kawhi has this incredible performance
Which he would.
because
I'm confident with Kawhi. Those Kawhi games.
Exactly, because like Phoenix low-key has a few wing defenders you can throw at people. Like Durant's a great defender, but even not him. Maybe even you throw like Torrey
Torrey
Craig
Craig.
or
And that's it.
Josh Okogie,
Yeah.
who not too bad defensively, but
Yeah.
other than that, really, no, none of those guys can stop Kawhi. So if Kawhi's got it going, he's got it going, and you're not gonna stop him. But you're trying to bother him. You're trying to send double teams his way, trying to get him to force the ball, get the other guys to beat you. And the Clippers are a team that when they shoot good from three, they're moving the ball around. They're splashing shots from outside. They're very hard to beat. So that's the roadmap. Again, if you're the Clippers, either you have a really great Kawhi game where he takes over and he just wins the game by himself, which we know he can do, or you have that game where you shoot like 16 out of 34 from 3-point range and you're there late in the game and you hope Kawhi can pull it off. Then you hope that maybe Paul George can come back midway through the series. And I'm going to search that real quick, by the way, an update on Paul George. But that's kind of the hope, right? That you get George back in the middle of the series and then you try to win it late in the final games, 5, 6, 7.
It's a matter of Paul George coming back in order to make it a memorable first round series.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's move to the next series. So now we have 2 series left. I'm going to go with Memphis Lakers as my
Okay.
second to best series.
Okay. You set this up for me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So where do we even begin? Are we like getting Shannon Sharp courtside seats for every game? Are we gonna have Dylan Brooks guarding LeBron the whole way? Are we going to have John Moran going to do his extracurricular activities in between games? Who knows?
This is prime marketing for the NBA. They should not screw this up. Put Shannon Sharp in the mid. Put him in the court side. Put him courtside beside Jack Nicholson, and
Yeah.
and then make sure that Dylan Brooks is always beside Shannon Sharp and get those moments. ESPN, you're gonna rack in a lot of views.
Fantastic. No, it's gonna be great though. I thought LeBron and AD looked really good in that play-in game against Minnesota. Now the Lakers won that game, and
It's a
Schroeder
cardiac
hit like a
game.
really
Cardiac game.
clutch shot in the fourth quarter before that foul by Davis sent Conley to the line. But that late game offense, for both teams, was hideous. The Lakers' late game offense was so bad. LeBron had some really bad decision making, like some turnovers, some missed shots. Now he did have the clutch assist late that got Schroeder the 3-pointer, and he did hit a big 3-pointer late as well. But these are the mistakes I don't think the Lakers can do against Memphis. Now, a lot of people are kind of saying, "Oh, the Lakers have a great chance to win the series." Memphis is still the favorite according to odds because they don't have Brandon Clark, they don't have Steven Adams, but they do still have Jaren Jackson. Now, Jaren Jackson will have to stay in the court. I don't know how you can vote a guy who's always in foul trouble Defensive Player of the Year, but that's just me. But how do they stop John Moran's penetration? How do they stop Desmond Bain from scorching them from outside? Because who's gonna guard these perimeter players? Are you gonna throw Jared Vanderbilt at them? Now Vanderbilt's a solid defender, solid rebounder, but you're kind of giving up some stuff on offense, right? Are you gonna throw D'Angelo Russell at those guys? Dennis Schroeder? These guys are going to torch Schroeder and Russell in the perimeter if they're guarding them. And like we mentioned, the Lakers are one of the worst teams in the NBA in giving up transition points, correct? The Grizzlies are deadly in transition. You let Ja Morant, Desmond Bain, Jaren Jackson, all of them get down the break for scoring opportunities, it's over. So the question is, can the Lakers for a long series get the ball to Davis? Can he take the pounding inside without getting injured? Can LeBron attack, force the Grizzlies to foul him, put him at the free throw line? If they can't do that, then I think Memphis wins the series easily.
Well, for me, let me play devil's advocate here. I feel like it's a Lakers in 7, mainly because I feel like I just don't like the Grizzlies, man. Like, I'm a Warriors fan. Nav, you know about that. I've been telling you all about that. And I really don't like the Grizzlies. I really like LeBron. Actually, the Lakers in general, I like them. That's why I'm rooting for them. This is a very biased pick. Of course, this is what the show is about. We can share whatever we want, and we will, and hopefully not get bashed by our takes. But that's for me. I feel like the Lakers can do an upset over the Grizzlies. I hope I'm not wrong.
1,000%.
Yeah, it's
1,000%.
possible. It's possible. They're one of the more dangerous lower seeds in recent memory, along with the Warriors.
Yeah, because the Lakers were playing, they had the best record in the West towards the final
After
weeks
the
of the
All-Star break, right?
season, right?
I think
Exactly.
16 and
So
7, 15-7,
so
something like
there's
that.
100% a path for the Lakers to win. The question again, like I said, is can they impose their physical will on the Grizzlies? Can they get Memphis to play their game, pounding it inside, slow, deliberate, half court offense? And for half court offense to work and to be able to prevent transition, you need to be able to set up your defense, right? And to be able to set up your defense, you need to be able to score regularly. And sometimes I think the Lakers go through offensive stretches, especially when there's no LeBron or AD, or one of them or only one of them are on the floor, where they can go on offensive droughts. And when that happens, let's say you don't score in 3-4 straight possessions, you let the Grizzlies get off on the break, 7-0 run, 8-0 run, and suddenly you're facing a 3 possession deficit with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. What do you do there? But if the Lakers can get the Grizzlies to play their game, I think the Lakers could win this maybe even in 6. That's why I'm so interested in this series in terms of which team can impose their playing style with each game. Because if Memphis plays Memphis's game, Memphis is gonna win the series maybe in 5 or 6
Yeah.
games. But if the Lakers, like I said, can make this a grinded out affair, like an old school fight in the bar, you know what I'm saying?
Which they can. Which they can.
Which they can, they have the personnel to do so, then the
Mhm.
Lakers will win the series.
And I hope the Lakers win. Lakers in 7, baby.
Okay, so number 1, the floor is yours, bro.
Thank you. So we're now discussing the Kings and the Warriors, the series that I will be following, the series that I will be present in, and I will not present physically in Chase, not there in California. I don't have the means to go there right now, but to watch every game on League Pass. This is the series. Why? Because not the redemption tour. We're the defending champions, but rather more of an upset. Would you say? I wouldn't call it an upset, since the Warriors have been shaky this whole year. We still have Steph, Clay, and Dre, the usual three. Kevon Looney is our unheralded key member of the Warriors, and I don't know, like for me, as to defend the Warriors, it's more of Andrew Wiggins not being there. Like that's the reason why we're the 6th seed from not being the 3rd seed or 2nd seed. There's a lot of personal problems that went with him, and I'm glad that I think he's actually back right now. He's back,
Yeah,
and
he's going to be ready for game 1.
he's gotta be ready for game 1. But the question is he in game condition? Will there be much adjustments on the Warriors and bring him back? Those are some of the questions for the Warriors, but I feel like this is a Warriors in 6. The Kings, as most of you guys have heard already in other shows that you've been listening to or watching it on YouTube, is that they might not be ready for the playoffs yet this year. This is their first time since 2006. We don't know what a Domantas Sabonis and the Aaron Fox can bring in a playoff setting. Will they wilt under the pressure? Will they perform to higher standards compared to what they perform in the regular season? But for me, it's more of the experience, the championship pedigree that the Warriors bring to the table is what makes them, what I think will make them win in 5 games. I feel
Got
like
you.
I feel like the Kings can steal one, light the beam. I am a fan of light the beam, but when it comes against my Warriors, just light that beam once, baby. We're gonna win in 5. Move on to the next round easily. For me.
Okay, so when I think about it, the
Mhm.
first thought that comes to mind is, okay, the Warriors should win against the Kings, right? Because the Kings haven't been in the playoffs in a while, and the Warriors are the defending champions. But is that emotion talking and not logic? That's what I keep
I feel
asking
like
myself, right?
emotion. Ako may
Because
emotion ako. 90% emotion ako eh.
because we keep thinking, okay, the Warriors are the defending champs. They were this like mini dynasty. Some people say
Mhm.
they were a dynasty. And they've got Steph, they've got Clay, Jordan Poole, Draymond Green, the cast that won the championship last year. And the way they won the championship last year was so impressive. But I kind of don't like the energy that's going around right now.
May weird energy. I think
It's
inaano
it's
ko lang.
starting it's starting to feel like the Warriors they went from, okay, they're a dangerous lower seed because of their history and their experience, to they should win this easily and they should make back to conference finals. There has been one 6 seed in NBA history to win the championship, the Houston Rockets in 1995. They went back
Olajuwon.
to back.
Yeah.
And that was a team that made a major trade in picking up Clyde Drexler to bolster their playoff run, right? Here's what I'm thinking. Because I was like you too. I was like, okay, the Warriors should win this in maybe like 6 games because the Kings is a first-time playoff team. They don't have a big man who can really punish the Warriors inside. Sabonis is great, but he's not your like traditional destroy you in. I mean, he can destroy you in the paint. Don't get me wrong, but he's not like a 7'3" Embiid or Jokic, who could really punish the Warriors. So I got a message from a friend of mine who does local basketball odds, and I got this message this morning. A 10,000 pesos on Golden State to win the series wins you 3.2 thousand pesos. 10,000 in Sacramento to win the series wins you 23,000. So the odds are like heavily favoring Golden State, right? But then I also think about it further. I'm like, okay, Golden State has been terrible on the road. And if this goes to a game
Do
7,
you
Kings, yeah, they've been terrible on the road. I know everyone's thinking Andrew Wiggins is going to come back and save the team, but are we forgetting the fact that Wiggins hasn't played professional NBA level basketball in so many months? And he's
2-3
supposed to,
months, right? So
yeah,
long. I
and he's
haven't seen him
supposed to
so
just
long.
come back and suddenly be in playoff shape, and be ready. Like, are we sure about that? I think Draymond is still a great defender.
Yeah.
I think Steph is obviously still a great player, but the Kings are an incredible offensive team as well. The Aaron Fox has been the best clutch player in the NBA this season. Sabonis deserves third team All NBA when it comes to the center spot. They're deep. They have a lot of shooting. Now, I'm not saying I'm picking the Kings to win, but am I saying that the Warriors are a shoo-in to win the series? I don't think so. I mean, if the Warriors win game 1, then things get really dicey for Sacramento.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be one of those series where whoever wins game 1 wins the series, to be honest with you. I think if the Kings, because they're going to come into that building with a lot of emotion, they haven't been in the playoffs since 06. The fans are going to be wild. So if the Warriors go in there right away, or if the Kings come out a little jittery because, of all the energy that's going around, and the Warriors can take advantage of that, and the Warriors get in the driver's seat early, then I think Golden State will win the series. But if the Kings win game 1, and they do it
It's
in
gonna be interesting
convincing
for sure.
fashion, I don't know. It could be really deadly for the Warriors. And by the way, I'm looking at these odds. Like, this could be a good opportunity to make a good investment on the Kings if you put on the Kings, just because. And let's not forget, Draymond went on the record as well. He could say whatever reason he wants, travel, shorter distance, whatever. But when you go out there on public and you say, okay, I want this series, and you're wearing shirts that say, don't make us win the championship again, I think I'm going super superstition on this too. It's just I don't like the energy of how this is being perceived. I think the Kings, ironically enough, as the third seed, they're starting to feel like the underdog in this series.
They are. I mean, even if the seeding is like that, it's mostly because of experience. And if you check the Kings roster, the only guy who has a playoff experience here, guys, are Harrison Barnes and Matthew Dellavedova. So Matthew Dellavedova's not even playing. So that's the reason why those are the odds are there. And I agree on the Andrew Wiggins. That's definitely an X factor for this series, but for me, experience trumps over everything. So I feel like maybe we're Warriors 5-6.
Exactly.
Mm.
Well, we will see. There's a lot of exciting stuff to watch this coming weekend. I'm sure we're gonna get on the podcast again when the playoffs start to talk about this. I think since just to kind of counter, I know you're going Warriors at 5. I'm gonna go Kings in 7. Just for fun. Just for fun.
Okay,
Why
okay.
not?
Okay.
Okay, so let's recap our predictions. Let's go
Dude,
East
Nav,
first.
I don't know if I'm gonna appear in your podcast again if that happens. I'll be like, let me mourn, man. Like
but okay, so I think Bucks over Heat in 5 and Bucks
Okay.
over Bulls in 4.
Okay.
And then I would say who's the 2-7 again? Yeah, Boston over Atlanta in 4. And
Okay.
then I would say Philly over Brooklyn 5. And then Cleveland over New York in 6.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So Cleveland over New York in 6. West Denver over Minnesota in 6. And then Denver over OKC in 5. 2-7, I would go Grizzlies over Lakers in 6. And then 3-6, I would say Kings over Warriors in 7. 4-5, Suns over the Clippers in 7. I think the Clippers will make this interesting.
Okay, for me. Do we start in the play-in? All right. So
No, you can predict if either play-in team makes the playoffs.
okay. So Cavs Knicks. Well, if Randall is there, Cavs in 6. If Randall isn't there, it's 5. Sixers versus Nets. Sixers in 5. Boston Atlanta 5. Maybe Boston in 5 if it's Atlanta. So Denver versus if it's OKC, Denver in 5. Denver and then Phoenix against LAC without Paul George. Phoenix in 5 with Paul George. Phoenix in 7. Kings and the Warriors. It's Warriors in. I said 5. Warriors in 5. But that's my counter to your Kings in 7. And then for the Grizzlies and Lakers. Yeah, Lakers. I'm gonna stick with Lakers in 7 or 6.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
let the emotions talk for me.
Things are getting interesting. By the way, as we were announcing this, Ateneo just announced that Kobe De Mesana has committed
sir.
to the Blue Eagles. So
With the picture,
that-
with the picture,
with the
with Coach
picture,
Tab.
yeah, with Coach Tab. So congrats to Kobe, congrats to Ateneo. He is, I think he won't be a major player right away, but I think with some development, maybe in the next
Yeah,
few
for
years
sure.
he can get better. He has potential. I think he's still a little raw. He needs to get strong for the college game, but there's potential there. There's length, and
I see a Balti, Justin Baltazar,
mm,
down the road. It
I
could
think they're
be.
kind of different. I think they're kind of different, and I think we'll see that as his college career proceeds. But he can
Mhm.
be a special player on his own that he won't be compared to other players, I think. But
I
definitely,
want him to be a wing. I
oh,
want him to be a wing.
let's see. He'll need a 3-point shot to go in more consistently, but we
Yeah.
shall find out.
In Coach Tab, we trust.
Awesome, Nico. Thanks so much for joining me, man. I'll talk to
Thanks,
you
Nav.
soon, and let's see how our predictions do in the next few
Warriors in
weeks.
5. Warriors in 5.
See ya.
See ya.